Jonathan,
Yeah.
let's talk about tech history.
All right. This week we're covering December 13th through the 19th. First off, we have the Relay 1 launched.
Relay 1, or is it Relay I Launch?
I'm not sure. Relay.
It's actually Relay 1. It's a communication repeater satellite, so that I'm guessing that this is so that when they run missions in space, they communicate to this relay, and then the relay just resends the signal itself.
Cool.
Oh, it was for broadcasting TV. Oh, from the US to Japan. This makes sense. So if you figure the US is on one part of the world, Japan is in another part of the world, and there's a curvature. That's right. For you flat earthers, the world is round, okay? So broadcasting a signal on a flat surface has almost endless distance, right? And I can see how flat earthers think that we're broadcasting signals to Japan, but in reality, what's happening is that we're broadcasting a signal to a satellite, which is a repeater, and then it sends the signal back down to Japan. Hence, making it seem like the world is flat. Yes. When in reality, we're using repeaters out in space. No knock on the flat earthers. I have a lot of respect for you guys.
All right. Next up, we have December 14th, the first trans-Pacific telegraph cable.
It seems like we've talked about this, but I think it was the first transatlantic telegraph cable that we talked about prior. Mm-hmm. And this is trans-Pacific. So this is on the other side of the other pond. So Atlantic is between us and Europe. Pacific is between us and Asia, mm-hmm. which is the opposite side of the Europe and Asia continent. But yeah, once these cables were laid out, the Pony Express just went out of business. Yep. No reason to have them anymore.
No more snail mail.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Next up, we have December 15th, Netscape 1.0 released.
Netscape Navigator. These names that they came up with, man, they're kind of cool, where they have like this naming convention that doesn't really fit the internet, but yet does in some way, Yeah,
it does. Like, who made up the net?
Netscape Navigator. Oh, okay. So it's like the internet and it's landscape. So they put two words together. They called it Netscape. That makes sense. And then, so if it's landscape, right, landscape can mean any size. It could be 1 acre or it could be 1,000,000 acres. And so you would end up creating a navigator. And so, yeah, Netscape Navigator. That's pretty cool, I think, for the naming convention. This was a browser that they wanted to sell. It was commercially available in 1994, and shortly after, Microsoft says like, we'll give it away, And it was Microsoft's way of just pushing the competition out the door. They did that with a lot of companies. They would buy out the competition and then just shut down the operation just to get rid of them, so that the product that they really wanted to get out there was the one that made it out. But in this case, I don't think Netscape was for sale. And so what Microsoft had to do was create a free browser. And that pretty much just pushed Netscape out the door. There was a few diehards that said like, no, we're going to pay. And we want Netscape to survive, because Netscape had some really, really strong potential. They were thinking about using Java, the programming language Java, as part of the browser programming language.
Oh, wow.
But then this other guy, this other guy said like, no, like we need to create a programming language that can go across all browsers. And Java was cross-platform. Java was in a lot of devices. I mean, Java was in phones as part of programming because they all had different interfaces to the hardware. So Java was going to be predominant in this industry. And this guy came up with a knock on the name Java and called it JavaScript, which has nothing to do with Java. He needed something with it. It was supposed to be called, oh man, what was the name? I think the name was like LiveScript or ActiveScript or something. And they're like, no, it doesn't roll off the tongue, right? So when they called it JavaScript, everybody's like, what? Java in the browsers? It's like that's a predominant programming language at this point, But no, it had nothing to do with it. And that Netscape was supposed to like really bring these programming languages to the browser together. But yeah, once this guy went cross browser, there was just no need for people to pay for Netscape when they were like, oh, we'll do JavaScript and we'll go across any browsers. But yeah, that's a whole other story in itself.
All right, next up we have December 15th, Alta Vista launches.
Alta Vista, this was the precursor to Google.
Whoa, a search engine.
Yeah. Alta Vista was the number one search engine back in 1995. There was a few others out there, but Alta Vista seemed to have, they had their operation very well organized. So not only did they have a server that you can go to and search, they also came up with spiders. And so these spiders would work out in the background. They were, aside from the search engine, they were in the background. So just imagine the web server and its data here. And then on the other side of the data, they had spiders. And these spiders would go out and crawl the web. So they would go and look up DNS names and go visit the sites and basically go and index all the information that they found, so that when people came to the Alta Vista search engine, all that data was available to the search engine based on what these spiders had gathered.
Oh, wow.
And the spiders would go and pump all the data into the database, and search engine would go and pull it out, and Alta Vista ended up being like the dominant search engine. It wasn't until 2001 that Google actually overtook Alta Vista, because Google, oh man, what was the year that it came out? Was it 99, 98, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I want to say they knew what Alta Vista was doing, and they just made it better than what Alta Vista. They created a better algorithm. They created faster searches. They did a lot of good stuff with their search engine, and Alta Vista was just bugged. I think that's one of the problems, is that a company, when they first start, they're very agile. They can move quickly. But once it starts growing, things just seem to slow down. You can't move as quick. And so Google, being the next startup search engine, they were very agile. They were very quick to change and adapt, that they easily overtook Alta Vista. And, eventually in 2003, when a couple years after Google overtook Alta Vista, it was bought out by Yahoo, and Yahoo eventually just shut down the Alta Vista operation and just went to Google and said, okay, give us your search engine results, and we'll use Google in our back end, for search engine results. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Well, next up we have December 16th, canning spam.
Have you ever eaten spam, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, pretty good.
I don't know why email became spam.
I mean, like, canned meat doesn't sound appealing, so like it's not something really appealing, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. But I mean, what's not appealing about specially processed animal meat? I mean, That's what spam means. um, yeah. I guess if you abstract it that much, it's was considered junk mail. And
Maybe an acronym for something else, especially process,
animal meat.
or what about like automated mail or something? I don't know.
Oh, got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean,
It's just junky mail.
it is just like the meat that's in spam. I don't know. I have friends that have worked at meat packing places or yeah, like meat packing places, or even what do they call them? They call them slaughterhouses. And hot dogs, man, they never ate hot dogs again. They're like, yeah, you don't want to know what goes into hot dogs. You know? So can't let anything go to waste. So yeah, so it was Can Spam Act of 2003. That didn't take long. It didn't take long at all to like get control of all that spam that comes in your email.
All
Moving on.
right. Next up, we have December 17th, the Wright Brothers' first powered flight.
Yeah, I mean, this was 1903 and they flew for 12 seconds and didn't crash. They walked away in one piece. And this is what eventually evolved into, man, the aircrafts that we have now, you know? Like we have supersonic aircraft, you know,
Yeah,
aircraft that flies beyond the speed of sound.
that's
Couldn't
pretty
imagine.
only
Couldn't imagine being on that flight.
and
I'd be scared.
the 12-second flight, they're like, oh, here we go, we're going down.
Yeah. And then eventually they made it up for 59 seconds, almost a whole minute. That's crazy. That's cool.
All right, next up, December 18th, Pearl is always appropriate.
Yeah. Okay, so Perl was created for, mostly for Unix operating systems, right? But then Perl was ported to run on Windows, run on Linux, and I think you could even run it on Mac if I'm not mistaken. But this is a scripting language, and essentially you would just do it for command line um, type scripting. Later, I mean, they ended up importing libraries, and you can go and create like full on user interface data entry type applications. Um, you remember in our Goontox application where we have these funky characters to evaluate email?
Mhm.
Well, Perl is kind of like the programming language that pretty much like really thrives around regular expressions. It could do so much of regular expression. It's so powerful within Perl itself. I honestly don't know anybody that uses Perl these days, though. It was like it doesn't seem like it's a language that is going to come back. I mean, let's go see what Perl is doing these days. Perl 5, but from 2000 to 2019, it's also referred to the redesigned sister language, Perl 6, before the latter name was officially named to Raku. Oh, now it's Raku?
Oh,
Interesting. Yeah, you see, I knew it was a dying language, formerly known. Raku is a member of the Perl family of programming language formerly known. So what is compatible mode? Raku. Huh. This is interesting. I didn't realize that they renamed it the Raku bug. Huh. Interesting.
cool.
Originally written in Haskell, so it doesn't even have C or C++ roots, where I think that was one of the things. Well, what is Haskell written in? You go down the rabbit trail here far enough. Mm. Yeah, there is no general purpose, statistically typed, purely functional language, lazy evaluation. Yeah, it doesn't really looks like it's just a language of its own. There's no roots from anywhere.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, I tell you, man, these rabbit trails just they go pretty deep. Yeah, this is just a language of its own. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that it doesn't have a strong root, I mean, I don't know anybody that uses Haskell anymore. There's, not having a strong root like C, C++, and stuff like that. It doesn't give it a lot of popularity. And it's not that they're not good. I mean, these things, Haskell is a great language. Perl is a great language. I'm sure Raku is a great language. But just the fact that it's not from a popular base, everybody wants to learn C and C++, just like those are basically the popular base languages. But yeah, it doesn't give it much popularity. So,
Wow. All right. Next up, we have The Internet Goes Hollywood.
oh man, this is such an old movie, 1998.
Whoa.
How old were you? 5?
5. Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
I remember seeing trailers. I don't know if I watched it. I might have.
Well, let me entice you, Jonathan. Let's see here. We'll play a couple of seconds here. We don't want to take up a whole lot of time.
This is the trailer for You've Got Mail.
I go online.
Welcome.
And
In well.
in my chest until I hear 3 little words. One is it infidelity if you're involved with someone on email?
This woman is the most adorable creature I've ever been in contact with.
Sex? Of course not. I don't even know. No, I mean cyber sex. No.
All right, cyber sex. That's it. This trailer's gone out of control here. So Warner Brothers. I don't know if you know, Jonathan, but every movie has product placement. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Every movie, everything from the collar on the dog to the shoes on the actor is product placement.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is no product placement, then what they do is they will use a very generic, water colored or something that isn't paid for. If you're not paying for your product to appear in a movie, then it's just your product's not going to appear. And they would much rather serve a glass that has no ties to anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't figure out where it came from, why it's being sponsored. Nothing. But yeah, AOL, man, they use their product placement to market AOL.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of the start of like online dating too.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Like in the 1998, like people were doing AOL chatting. And
Oh man, that's an interesting one. When did online dating start?
95, even before that. Oh, Match was before that. Match.com.
Let's see here. I hope we don't hit porn. It worries me sometimes looking up anything online for dating and stuff. Lonely hearts rejoice as you now meet and flirt with potential matches without having to change out of their pajamas. But what was the first dating site?
It was Match.com. It said right there.
Oh, 1995, huh?
Match.com on 1995.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. 1995. So when did this movie come out? 1998. Oh, so they took like 3 years of online dating and they turned it into a movie.
Yeah.
Fancy. Very, very fancy. And it's funny because they say you've got mail, but reality, the 3 words that come up is you have mail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't see it in the trailer?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, here, let me
You
go
got
back to let's see here.
right there. Yeah. Oh yeah, you have mail.
You have mail, and they're saying you've got mail.
Funny.
So, but it's funny because a lot of times we'll read something and we'll say it differently as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, I can totally see this. All right, AOL in the movies. They started off with MTV and then got to the internet. They're still around. Cool.
That's it for Tech History this week.
All right, until next time.